tonight on Size Eyes on the Skies.
Well, we finally had some sun today, which we haven't been seeing normally, and there'll be some snow coming this week, and a real wide variety of weather really coming to us this week. Currently, temperatures are looking about 28 here in Ames and about 30 in Des Moines, kind of ranging in that 20 to 30 degree area right now. I'll have more about that in my Iowa forecast later in the show.
And not only does Jackson have your Iowa forecast, he also has your national forecast. All that and more as this Thursday, February 6th edition of Size Eyes on the Skies starts now.
Live from Studio 171 in Ames, Iowa, the Iowa State Meteorology Department team of meteorologists brings you the latest weather from around the country and out your front door. Iowa State's longest running television program and the only live weather broadcast on campus starts right now. This is Size Eyes on the Skies.
Welcome back to Size Eyes. I'm now joined by Jackson. Jackson, it's not too bad out there today.
Not at all. In fact, I didn't wear a coat coming over here. I mean, this jacket
Really
was
didn't.
nice enough, which is kind of a change of what we've been seeing recently.
I know. Everyone always says it's the wind, but today there's not really any wind, and it actually feels really warm outside for the most part.
The sun coming down on us earlier felt really nice, too.
I
We haven't
know.
seen that in quite a while.
Is that going to be the pattern for the next couple of days, you think?
Well, we have quite a bit coming on. As I said earlier, we have temperatures right now across the state are looking in the kind of the lower or the upper 20s and lower 30s around the state, with the state or the counties to the north having a little bit of lower temperatures. 24 here in Mason City and 30 degrees here in Des Moines, moving over to 34 over here in Council Bluffs. And that's really because we have kind of this the system moving in over here from the west, kind of bringing some of that precipitation and some of that cloud cover over into the state, which will keep temperatures cool. I'll have more about that later in the show, and I look forward to seeing it. Didn't know what's going on here. Oh, Sara Foernssler, the host.
Thanks,
Okay.
Jackson. Thanks, Jackson. And now it's time for tonight's weather story. On this day, an unseasonably warm air surged into Iowa ahead of an approaching cold front, bringing temperatures into the 50s and 60s across much of the state. Several stations, including Burlington and Dubuque, established daily records that have not since been tied or broken in more than a century. The highest temperatures were reported in southeastern Iowa, including highs of 64 in Fairfield, 65 in Burlington, and 70 in Keosauqua. And now back to Jackson with a look at what's happening around the country. Jackson?
Thanks, Sarah. Well, it is in around the 30s for us here in Iowa, but that's not necessarily the case throughout the whole country. Around the coastal regions, we will say they do have some higher temperatures, around 61 here in San Francisco, and that's kind of synonymous with the rest of the state to the south, but you can see that real cold winter air kind of pushing through. I'll have a little bit more about that in my national forecast coming up next.
Size Eyes. Now here's Jackson with a look at what's happening around the nation. Again, Jackson.
Thanks, Sarah. Quite a bit going on around the nation today. We have some temperatures kind of bleeding down, as I said earlier, with that cold air mass. And then some coastal temperatures kind of warmer on the sides, but that's not really, the temperatures aren't really what's big right now. Obviously in the Midwest here we have temperatures around 30 in Des Moines, 33 in Kansas City, kind of just seeing that 30 to 40 degrees, up into the 20s as you move to the north, just kind of around that Midwest, and that'll kind of move around to the northeast, where we see those cold temperatures up in the northeast of 19 degrees in Montreal, 24 in Augusta, but that does warm up as we go down, 40 degrees in Boston, 38 in New York, and 45 in Washington, D.C. Moving down a little bit, we see those temperatures kind of rise up, warm up a little bit, 60 degrees in Atlanta, 71, and 79 in Jacksonville. So that'd be really nice to be down there in that Florida peninsula, but of course, as you move over to the west, the temperatures do drop down quite a bit, 41 in Jackson, 34 in Little Rock. And that'll keep on moving over where we see those cold temperatures shooting through 36 degrees in Durango and 50 degrees in Albuquerque. But as you move over onto that west coast, we do see 61 degrees in Nevada, Las Vegas, and moving on to the coastal regions, 64 in Bakersfield, 61 in Los Angeles, really keeping things nice and warm with those waters, keeping everything nice. And we have what the real cold we're going to see is kind of bleeding down here from Canada, 25 degrees in Glasgow, 30 degrees in Billings, and that kind of just moves down with these western states, 24 degrees in Casper, real cold there. And that's kind of what's going to bring them some of the winter weather that we'll see in our watches and warnings. Here we have a few winter weather advisories and winter storm watches around here in the Colorado area, all the way up to Montana. So those people are going to want to watch out for some of the snow that's going to be heading their way, as long as a lot more warnings over here on the East Coast. Another winter weather warning and winter advisory over here, and then some flood warnings down here as it gets a little bit warmer down to Georgia, Atlanta, and Tennessee in this area. So you're going to really want to make sure you're looking out for that precip, as it's going to kind of stir things up as you go along your day. Moving over to satellite and radar, you can see that system over here just kind of bringing some snow and a lot of overcast skies into these areas. That's why we're going to see a lot of, in Iowa at least, we're going to see a lot of this, a lot of clouds throughout the day. But the big system that's moving through on the East Coast over here is going to bring quite a bit of rain. I would expect to see a lot of inches of rain accumulating in these states, depending on where you are. And that those lines just kind of go all the way up to the East Coast and bring some cold winter conditions up to the northeast section. Looking over at our futurecast, we can see that this system kind of moves over, bringing some of the snow to Denver all the way up to Montana, like I said earlier. And that's going to bring a little bit of snow over to Iowa, as I'll bring you in my Iowa forecast later on. And that huge system over here bringing quite a bit of cold precipitation turning into snow here. And right along this line, you can see it kind of transitions to that rain. So you're going to get a lot of cold rain over on the East Coast as that system moves through. As you can see, as this system progresses, it's just going to gradually move east. This is kind of going to rise quite a bit over here, bringing some snow over to the East Coast, and that's going to end up with just really hammering up to the East Coast a lot of snow, moving into a little bit of snow here around the Indiana area. And for our extended forecast today, we chose Denver, Colorado. They're having a 50% chance of snow on Friday, and then a nice warm day on Saturday. 52 degrees, which will feel beautiful over there, before it kind of plummets back down to 27 with 50% chance of snow there. Monday we're seeing 35 degrees, 20% chance of snow, 43 on Tuesday, 34 on Wednesday, and a 32-degree day on Thursday.
Thanks, Jackson. Now let's take a look at tonight's trivia question. How many tornadoes were there in North and South Carolina today that were reported? Is it 15, 3, 8, or 10? We'll have that answer coming up shortly here after we'll take a look at the week ahead with Jackson.
Thanks, Sarah. Now we're just going to take a look at some of these Ames temperatures. So right now we're seeing about 28 degrees with not too bad winds, looking at 5 miles an hour from the east-southeast, and it kind of doesn't feel too much colder than it is. 28 right now feels like 23, so really not too bad for winter, with a dew point of 11, just kind of keeping things relatively stable around the day-to-day. And that's going to move on to tonight's conditions. 28. Seems to be 28's a big number tonight. We'll see if we can get these slides moving along. Maybe our little backup people in the back can... Oh, it is commercial, isn't it? Welcome back, folks. As you can see, those headlines I talked about earlier, we had a clear day today, moving into snow likely this week, and a real wide variety of things going on this week. I'll have that forecast reel here for you. So today's highs, we did see a high of 31 degrees today, which is a little bit warmer than we typically see, but on Saturday, it was a little bit warmer. So we are on that downhill slope as we move through this week. Today's temperature is a little bit cooler than that right now, 27 degrees in Ames, 29 in Des Moines. So just a little bit cooler than today's highs, but that'll definitely plummet down as we move into to the rest of the day. Wind chill kind of keeping things around that as well, with about 21 degree feeling around the state right now, which isn't too bad. And that's due to those low wind speeds. As you can see, winds are kind of out of everywhere over here, with some out of the south, some out of the north. And they're not really blowing too hard, so it shouldn't keep things too bad as you're walking around today. Looking at satellite and radar, we can see that there's just a little bit of cloud cover that's going to move through throughout the day, and just a little bit of a system kind of bringing its way into the state here. Might bring us a little bit of snow in the next few hours, but not too much going on with that system for a little while. And that system, again, is kind of with this larger system over here to the west, just bringing those little spits of snow into the areas around the Midwest. Looking at our futurecast, we do see a little bit of snow forming down here as we move into Friday, with that cloud cover really taking over the majority of Iowa here. And that'll kind of keep on moving over here down into St. Louis, bringing them some snow, and that'll propagate throughout Illinois until the system kind of dissipates out. Current conditions today, looking at 27 degrees, feels like a little bit cooler than that, but the wind, that's just because those winds, once again, are just real short, 6 degrees out of the east-southeast, feels like 20 degrees, and the dew point's 13 degrees here as well. The forecast tonight, we have cool with a 20% chance of snow, only 17 degrees tonight, so you might want to throw on a jacket if you're thinking about having a late night, maybe mug night out tonight at the bars. And the forecast for tomorrow would be AM snow showers, about 25 degrees throughout the day, nice and cloudy throughout the day as well. Extended forecast we see for Ames, we have Friday. Of course, we have that little bit of chance of snow, 50% chance, 25 degrees. That 25 will linger around till Saturday, 25 degrees. Sunday, 35 degrees. Monday, 30 degrees. Tuesday warms up a tad bit, 31. Moves up again to 34 on Wednesday, and then plummets back down to 18 degrees on Thursday.
Let's revisit that trivia question one more time. How many tornado reports were there in North and South Carolina today? Is it A, 15, B, 3, C, 8, or D, 10? What do you think it is, Jackson? Talked about it in forecast discussion today. Let's see how much you were paying attention.
Man, I don't know if I really remember that exact number.
Yeah,
I'd have to go with C8, just because that's my go-to.
C, always? Yep. I thought B was more likely.
Yeah?
No? I don't know.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
Well, I don't know. Let's look at the answer. It's actually neither of those. It's D, because I knew you were going to pick C, so I picked D.
Darn, you really know
it
my secret.
It was 10 tornadoes. Isn't that crazy that they're having tornadoes out on the East Coast? But
I know.
Nothing like that here.
Nothing like that until summer probably comes around and brings some of those tornadoes out.
We're a long way away. Well, not tons, but from severe weather at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a longer winter. All right, well, that concludes tonight's show. Please be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. You can find every show under YouTube under our Size channel. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on Tuesday.